The next thing we have is a interview with Hasbro's Chris Cox, the CEO that took over Hasbro after their last CEO unfortunately passed away. And this is from Ranger Board member Big Smile. He put it together in some easy reading notes. So I just wanted to read some of this so we can see a little bit the direction of those in charge, the people that are in charge of Power Rangers, what the direction they had in mind for our storied franchise. And this is, like I said, this is member Big Smile over on Ranger Board, just giving us a little summary. Hasbro's direction, it says, in contrast to Brian, the former CEO, Chris wants to be less focused on storytelling and more on play. We pushed the pendulum way too far towards the storytelling side of the ledger, which sadly defocused us on investing in design and innovation, investing in our supply chain, managing our cost structure, and developing our talent. We focus too much on story? What are we talking about? I don't think you can ever focus too much on story when you're talking about like these shows that are given supposed to be toy advertisements. Like every kid's show is basically a toy advertisement. But like the story comes before that stuff. The story is like the biggest part of like what makes you want that stuff. There are kid shows with like dope looking toys that are just dog shit stories that nobody watches. He notes that this new approach means that Hasbro sacrificed the chance of having a huge mega hit up front, but the chances of a huge mega hit are pretty fleeting. Okay. He mentions that his pivot was delayed by a year as he had a bruising battle with activist investors and spent a lot of time defending its past decisions while determining which of them he needed to change. What kind of mental gymnastics did it take for him to get to this conclusion? Dude, it's such a crazy thing to say of like I know we make movies and stuff and shows and we're big storytelling, like Hasbro has some big movies, but we focus too much on them. We simply need to focus on the toys, the innovation in the toys. And it's like, can we not do both? What is wrong with doing both here? I don't understand. It says changing consumers. He plans to grow Hasbro's consumer base by 50%. Which is a crazy number, I feel like. There's less children being born, so he's aiming at older consumers and talks of a future where 40, 50, 60-year-olds are engaged in a lifetime of play. Now, this isn't specifically meant towards Power Rangers. This interview is Hasbro's direction in general. And when I say that, Hasbro's two heavy hitters are Transformers and G.I. Joe, which I feel like fit pretty well in there, right? Fit pretty well in the 40-year-olds, the 50-year-olds, the 60-year-olds. Those are the people that are nostalgic for that stuff right now, or like can be nostalgic for those stuff in the future. Makes sense. And those toys can be more intricate and everything. But like, does Power Rangers not fit in there as well? Because you just gave away the master toy license that you just said you wanted to focus solely on toys. You just sold the master toy license to a fan base or to someone whose fan base is like begging for collector's versions of 30 years worth of stuff. And that person that bought the toy license is making kid versions of a 30-year-old show. Like, why would you sell the master license if this was your plan for everything else? Because your plan for everything else solidly fits into what the actual Power Rangers fan base wants. They want a Wild Force collector's morpher that costs $80. They don't want a $20 Mighty Morphin morpher. I do, but like I have a kid that wants that stuff. I've seen online for weeks people like, can we just get a Ninja Storm morpher, goddammit, please? Apparently that's what they're doing with their other franchises. You know, this reminds me of how Transformers Prime, a show with an amazing story, had its legacy dirtied when Robots in Disguise succeeded it and only focused on toys and shoehorned gimmicks. Transformers, I feel like I've only watched a couple of the shows, and Prime is a show I really liked. But I feel like Transformers as a franchise just like goes through these peaks and valleys a lot. 80s style toy commercial shows. We're bringing them back, baby. Tariffs and cost reductions. About 40% of Hasbro's toy production is in China, down from 60% when Cox took over, but enough to herald a cost shock similar to the one it felt in the pandemic. Most of the next billion children will be born in countries in which Western toys are beyond most families' budgets, so they aren't serving 85% of customers in the world. Listing the imitation products he has found in Hong Kong with names like Poptimus Prime and Humblebee, he wonders why Hasbro can't make toys so cheaply. We're missing the right vendors. We're missing the right way to manufacture them. We're missing something about our quality standards and our design standards that are not right. So instead of fighting that, why don't we embrace it and go find those manufacturing partners and ship those products to other countries, he said. As someone who collected quite a bit of the Lightning collection, I don't think you're not doing it cheaply. I'm going to be honest. I don't think you can cut costs by that much in your toy productions because they're already struggling a bit if the Lightning collection was anything to go off of. AI. Cox describes himself as an AI bull who believes the technology will extend the reach of Hasbro's brand. That's funny because most AI people I know are AI cucks. It's supercharging fandom, he says, and I think that's just net good for the brand. This makes me sad for Transformers and G.I. Joe because I know what we talked about with Power Rangers and how it's going to go AI that way for the Mighty Morphin rebrand or whatever it's going to be. But that is in association with Playmates, so like they're doing it together. This makes me feel like he's going to look, or the people at Hasbro are going to look at Transformers and going to be like, robots, AI, they're basically the same. Put them together. And it's like, oh, we're going to have a bad time in that fandom. He mentioned that Elon Musk's interest in buying Hasbro went nowhere. He also thinks Hasbro and Mattel have two different in outlook to merge just to avoid confusion. What I posted above isn't the full interview. It's just bits I found interesting. So that's what the new CEO of Hasbro, and I say new, he's been having it for like a year and a half. That is what the CEO of Hasbro sees about where Hasbro is going in the future. And it's worrying, especially as someone who loves Power Rangers and loves the brand of Power Rangers and wants to see it expanded and explored more. Doesn't sound like he's that interested in doing it, you know? Doesn't sound like that's what he wants to do.